Okay, and we are back. And I say we are back, it's because of a good reason. So you know how... Okay, I'm gonna fix this code, sorry. Okay, your girl's back. Okay, so let's talk about why I'm back. Because I have decided that the best way to change the world is to scare people, to scare them. Like, I know that sounds horrible, but if we scar, just hear me out, let me cook. If, say, okay, because right now, in case you haven't been following the news, women's safety is a literal crisis, and women are dying in mass, and everybody's looking the other way except for women, because it's literally our safety every single day. It's like, we have to pay attention to these articles coming out about how women are being chopped up into blenders, and they're Miss America, and their boyfriends are like, I'm just gonna kill her and chop her into pieces and blend her. And then how men are, across the world killing us. So, like, if you're an Olympian from the Congo, and then she gets home, and her ex-boyfriend decided she didn't deserve whatever the fuck he deserved, or something, and he was jealous, or he was just, insert excessive emotion. He was being a little hysterical. What a concept. You know that thing that they call us? They call us hysterical. They call us crazy. And then he poured gasoline on her in a public square and burned her to death. And no one did anything. And so we're called hysterical when we acknowledge that she was an Olympian. And then in France, honey, in France, there was a husband and wife who had been married, high school sweethearts, and she was having a bunch of health issues, and her husband was going to these doctor's appointments and was extremely concerned for her, and it turned out he'd been drugging her for their entire relationship, knocking her out, going online and advertising, come rape my wife, and filming it and taking photos. And over 90 men have been on trial, and not one of them said no. Oh, actually, some of them declined to be filmed. Or some of them mentioned, like, dude, this isn't kind of right, but they still did it. Not one of them went to the police. This man got caught because he was taking photos up a girl's skirt in public and got caught by somebody else who spoke out. And then they went through his phone and found hundreds of videos and pictures of her in this situation, and she's speaking out. She chose not to be anonymous because she believes that the world should know that this is a crisis. And God bless that woman. I love her, I honor her. She's 70, dealing with this publicly, because nobody believes women when we say we would choose the bear. If we came across a man in the woods, the worst thing that man can do, I can't say on this app. We all know that's true. And guess what? When that came to light, that the woman was probably, restrained, tied to a tree for 4 days, and unspeakable acts done to her, and was probably like missing a limb and slowly bled to death and was lucky for death, begged for death when it came, they'd be like, well, why was she alone in the woods? If we met a bear, at least people would go, it's a bear. That sucks. She died. They wouldn't ask what we were wearing or why we were hiking or what underwear we were wearing. They're not going to question why the bear killed us. They're going to admit the bear is a predator and a danger to us. And the worst thing that bear can do is kill us. And guess what? The worst it can do is maul us and leave us to die. We'd be praying for death, but at least our families wouldn't disown us. They wouldn't believe us. At least they wouldn't tell us not to go to the cops, because what are they going to do? At least we wouldn't be put into a file with millions of other cases. And our little kit that they do afterwards, when you meet a man in a dark alley and he does something really unspeakable to you, and then they do that kit at the hospital, when you do report it, guess what? There's thousands of those on backlog because they're not being taken seriously. They're not prioritized. They're not being found. And guess what? When they do eventually get to those kits, they find out that several of them are of the same DNA. This man's been doing it for over 20 years. I promise you, look it up. And then they're like, why hang out with me? Why is it hard to get a date? Because your worst fear on a date is whether we look like our fucking photos. Our worst fear is kidnapping, rape, death, dismemberment, torture in a basement tied up for months, sex trafficking, never to be found again. So why don't we wear those cute outfits in public? Why doesn't my girlfriend wear them? Stop whining. Stop whining and do something. If you really want women to believe that men are good, do something. Speak up. When your dude friend is talking about another girl derogatorily to you and making her into an object, when there's no women around and you guys are sitting around, he's like, God, she's a nice piece of meat, and I'd like hit that. Be like, dude, she's not an object. That's disrespectful. Don't talk about women like that. You want to do that? Don't talk about it around me. Do not make it an acceptable thing in society. Make that a bad thing. Be the hero in the conversations when the women are not around. Do the thing where you speak up. We want to know that we are safe within your group. So if we know that that homie over there said this and you didn't say nothing, I don't feel comfortable hanging out around you, because if he says something to me, you're probably going to laugh. And then I'm going to be the bad guy and be too sensitive when I tell you that made me uncomfortable. Because it's my safety. It's my life. I got to worry about homie following me out to my car, not taking no for an answer, and following me home. I got to worry about him sending me unsolicited pictures of his genitalia. And that's traumatizing at 9 o'clock in the morning. I got them recently from an old coworker who couldn't take no for an answer either. And when I cut him off, he got aggressive. But, don't be mean to men. I shouldn't be mean to them, right? It's not like I've had men follow me home from work because they didn't believe me when I said no. It's not like I've had men touch me inappropriately in public spaces because they thought that was okay. On a first interaction, to feel me up for muscle. On a first interaction, to feel me up for muscle. On a first interaction, to mention that I'm so fit. Or anytime that I wear nice clothes. Let's talk about, oh, what a nice figure you have. Why is that a conversation piece? What if I walked up to you, men, and I was like, what a nice ass you got there. Looking like a piece of meat. Like, you'd be like, excuse me? You don't even know my name. What if I just started hooting and hollering at you? You walking down the street in your normal everyday clothes, and I'm like, damn, boy, you look like you got a big penis. You'd be like, excuse me? Like, you might think it's a joke, but when it happens every single day to you, when you suddenly start thinking, maybe I shouldn't be wearing these pants in public because I'm getting tired of hearing about it, that's when you'll start taking it seriously. So how about we start treating men the way they treat us and see how quickly society changes? How quickly suddenly men are uncomfortable in public? How quickly suddenly they want someone to speak up on the bus when they're being harassed? Because when I'm on a bus with 15 people and some dude is trying to creep up on a 15-year-old and there is 15 normal citizens, men, on that bus, and I watch all of them go because they don't want to be next, so it's me. I am 5 foot 90 pounds and I am chest bumping homie on the bus, going back up, going don't touch her, checking them out the way to let the old lady get off the bus because they are harassing her. Why is it me? Why is it the woman? You know what? We're supposed to look for men, and there are good men in this world. And you know what? I will give them credit. There are a lot of good men in my life. But where were they on that bus? Where were they when I was getting harassed? Where were they when I was grabbed in public? Where were they? You know who was there? Women. Women were there to let me know that I was being followed by a guy down the street. That guy had been following me for about 5 minutes. Multiple cars of men had gone by. No one stopped. A woman pulled up and went, he's following you. And the guy went, whoop, and booked it because he noticed that somebody pointed it out. Where were the men? Where were these good men? Where is Superman? And you know what else? I keep being told that they're good men and they're protectors of women. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go on a bus without any of my weapons. And you know men's response? Why would you do that? That's not safe for you. Well, why isn't it safe? There's 15 men on that bus. There's got to be one good one, right? Someone's going to speak up by your own logic. Someone's going to speak up, right? Right? There is 15 Supermans on this bus. But every time I look at them, they go, oh, I'm Clark Kent today, honey. You should ask Batman. And Batman's like, I'm Bruce. I'm Bruce today. Bruce Wayne, honey. And I'm like, okay, who are you waiting on? He's like, I'm waiting on the Flash, who's sitting next to him. Flash is like, damn, man. You know, it's Aquaman's day today. And so guess who steps up? Wonder Woman is having to step up. Or Lois Lane is having to defend herself because Superman's on a break. Superman don't feel like it today. Superman's tired. Superman don't want to. So, honey, until you guys act like Superman, I ain't gonna treat you like Superman. I ain't calling you Superman if you are walking to work instead of flying. Until you do something super. I'm sorry that I can't praise you. I'm sorry I can't sing your praises. I am sorry. I am sorry that when I needed a hero, guess what? You were the villain. Or where were you? Where were you? Where were you, good man? Tell me again. It's not all men. Where the fuck were you? When I needed you. When she needed you. When they needed you. Where were you? Oh, that's right. Well, I wasn't on that bus. Okay. Were you in that room with your homie? When he said that gross derogatory thing that kind of made you uncomfortable, but you didn't want to step on any toes, so you didn't correct him, and then he went out and did something to a girl? Were you there? When you could have stopped it early by setting that boundary and telling him his behavior was wrong. Are you teaching the men of the next generation how to be respectable men? Are you? Are you telling them like, yo, that behavior's not okay? Man to man, you need to treat women with respect. You know what? I agree. Me and men have these conversations and they go, well, they're a good man. And I go, great. What are the good men doing? And they said, not doing anything. We ain't doing it. Okay, what are you doing to prevent it? Are you speaking up and teaching men how they should respect women? Are you taking in those fatherless friends of yours who didn't have a daddy to teach him? And are you teaching him how to respect women? Are you correcting his behavior? Are you doing any of that? Are you speaking up when you see it? In your friend groups, on college campuses, on the bus, in public? Are you holding your fellow man to a standard that is higher than the basement? Am I digging for the standards of society? Absolutely, but I'm told to have faith. Have faith in these men. Have faith in them. One day they'll step up. Every year, at least one man will stand up for you. That's great. What about the rest of the year, honey? Isn't everyday occurrence. Yeah, I got good men in my life, and guess what? Those good men in my life, they buy me tasers. They teach me Krav Maga. They teach me martial arts. They speak up. But what about when I'm not near them? When I'm not around? Are they doing it for the stranger on the bus? Are you doing it for the stranger on the bus? That's all. So anyways, that was the conversation I had with my random Lyft driver today. Have a nice day.